Good evening. I'd like to call Property Management Committee to order. First order of business, call the roll.
Commissioner Dodd. Commissioner Dodd. Commissioner Davidson.
Here.
Commissioner Wilson.
Here.
Commissioner Phillips. Present. Commissioner Irvin.
Here.
Commissioner Johnson.
Present.
Commissioner McAdoo.
Here.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, approval of minutes. Vice Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have looked over the minutes of the July 31st, 2025 minutes and found them to be in order and moved to approve as mailed out.
Motion to approve is a second.
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, BOA building update, Mayor Carr. There's no public comments tonight. I left that out.
Glad to sit down if you want public
No,
comments. I'll provide some public comments if you want some. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This isn't just going to be a BOA update. This is going to be our capital project quarterly update. I think as you recall, or as the committee will recall, 3 months ago, thereabouts, hopefully thereabouts, we brought our first, as a result of conversations that I had with Chairman Dodd and Chairman Phillips, it was a good idea for, on a periodic basis, for the mayor's office to bring capital projects, progress on projects, what projects are rolling off, what projects are rolling on, and for this committee in particular to provide input as to what projects should be on that list and what that priority should look like. I want to emphasize this is a collaborative effort. Again, the mayor's office taking the lead, but we are absolutely requesting that this committee in particular have input onto those projects. It's really, really important. And so with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll proceed. The capital improvement projects update. Next slide, please. Next slide. And these are the projects nearing completion. The recovery court has, as you recall, has 2 phases to it. The first phase has been completed, and Adam Dodd can talk about second phase. The second phase is where we're going now, and basically it's the improvements that the maintenance department is doing that to bring this whole project to completion. I believe, Adam, we're looking at a completion date of around November of this year. Is that what's our time frame completion of phase 2 for the mechanical and the other parts to this? Can you tell me? I'm sorry? Less than 1 year. Okay, thank you very much. I had my time frame wrong, but nonetheless, we've completed phase 1, which was the part where we contracted out the expansion, and then the phase 2 is the part where Adam Dodd's maintenance department comes in and upgrades the rest of those facilities. Am I saying that right, Adam? Good. Next slide, please. The transfer station obviously is operational and complete. I do have a revision, and I think I reported to this committee and the Public Works Committee, Chairman Johnson, that for the month of July, the county received $66,000 in gross profit as a result of the activity. I am sad to report that upon revision, that is not the correct number. The actual number, gross revenue that we received was $81,000, not $66,000. So, and Chairman Johnson, I will always sandbag that number. I will tell you the month of August, we're doing better. We're running about 10% ahead of where we were for July. As of today, I believe we're at 8,400 tons for the month of August. And as you recall, we were at 7,950 tons for the month of July. So our growth rate is about 10%. I do expect that volume to level off at around 9,000 tons a month, maybe 10 after a little while, but that's where we're at that point where we're starting to level off, and so the day-to-day growth is going to be a little bit slower, but that's what we inspected as Chairman Phillips talked about earlier, how we kind of move into this over a period of maybe 30, 60, 90 days.
Quick question, Mr. Chairman. Is it okay?
Go ahead.
Okay. For next month, could we have a kind of a basic income statement?
So tell me, yeah, so
So
tell me,
revenues,
yeah,
revenues, tipping fees, all that kind of stuff.
no, I'll be glad to provide that. Tell me what you're looking for on that income statement, Mr. Commissioner.
Sure, I'm just trying to kind of get a net number and then be sure I understand what comprises the net number. In other words, whatever revenue's coming in, minus whatever expenses are going out, if there's any allocations that are going to the transfer station from other departments or vice versa, they would obviously be in there as well to come up with kind of a net number so we know kind of how we're doing on an operational,
That's a great question.
Operational level.
So, and when I use terms like gross profit, let me define that for this, in particular for this committee and for Public Works. When I say gross profit, that's different than net profit, right? So gross profit is literally the net proceeds or the revenue received minus cost of services. So if we have, and like in July, we brought in, I think, $650,000 plus or minus. Our cost was $550,000 for a gross profit of, like, say, $80,000. That does not include electricity, leachate, overhead as it relates to employees. Obviously, if we wanted to include the retirement or the fund balance, I mean the retirement of the debt that we used to, so those kind of things. So we can calculate that, but we're not getting our bills for like the electricity and the leachate for some 30 or 60 days afterwards. So there's a delay in getting that. So what I'm giving you tonight and over the next 2 or 3 months is only gross profit. It is the receipts received minus the cost of loading, transportation, and disposal at Cedar Ridge. It's not the ancillary costs, or what I call the soft costs, associated with actually operating the transfer station. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, and the thing I'm trying to shoot for is basically, it's the way you're proposing to do it is fine. I'm sure the way you're proposing to do it is fine. The question is just to make sure over time we're doing it consistently, and that'll get worked out. You know, over the next probably 5 or 6 months, I'd be willing. We'll have a pretty good idea. So we will. So we can put together some revenue minus expenses minus allocations, things along those lines. So everybody's on the same page. Everybody knows this is what it's going to be. We're as if paying down whatever, you know, capital cost or whatever. If we want to get that sophisticated, we may not. Who knows? So at any rate, I was just trying to get a basic income statement with the basic assumptions so that we can build on it over the next few months. Absolutely. And I'm glad to provide all that information to you. We're still trying to get our hands around the reporting mechanism. As an example, when I think I came to this committee or Public Works, I reported that our gross profit was $66,000, and now I'm telling you, in fact, it's $81,000. We're still trying to get our hands wrapped around the reporting data and the accuracy of that data. So then when I start to calculate what the actual net profit is I can report an accurate number to this committee. So we will have that hopefully at the next meeting. But be patient if you don't mind, because again, we're still trying to pull this information together. That's fine, thank you. The next slide, please. This is what I want to camp out on a little bit tonight, is the capital improvement projects timeline. As you can see, this is what this committee, the mayor's office needs this committee to interact with. And this is our priority, this is our list, and I need you to get involved in making sure that the commission and the mayor's office are on the same page as we go through funding these items. And so what we have obviously is the 01, or for the next 12 months, county administration offices. That is the Bank of America building. That is the building on East Main that we've already put a contract on for $9.2 million, and we're doing our due diligence. That's Commissioner Wilson. That's the building you went and reviewed today.
We've got an offer. It is my hope, and I think Chairman Phillips' hope, that by end of this year, we can begin the process, we can close on that piece of property, and we can begin the process of renovating it or making it available for county use. We have the next item is the first responders, the admin building. Yes, sir.
Could I ask about that?
Please.
Because I wasn't able.
I'm gonna rip through this unless you interrupt me.
I wasn't able to attend the tour. I apologize, but I will take a tour as soon as I can. Could you give us for this and as well as for the public generally, kind of an update and just in terms of this is the due diligence that's been done so far, or has been done and scheduled, however you want to say it.
Sure. So let me.
We know.
Perfect. That's a great question. And sometimes I kind of take things for granted because I do this every day, and I just assume people know what I know, and of course they don't. But we finally, I think we got our final draft back in the contract with Bob Warren today, who's in charge of doing the inspection for the building. He's coordinating that. I believe he and Eric and Nick have finally gotten that worked out. And so I haven't signed that contract agreement yet, but we're trying to facilitate or expedite that because we need to get him started because, as you know, Commissioner, the clock is ticking on our 120 days, and we want to make sure we utilize that full 120 days, but at the same time, we don't need more time than that because then that costs the county an extra $50,000 according to the contract. We believe we've got the nuts and bolts of the contract nailed down, and I'm hopeful that I'll be signing it as early as tomorrow or as late as first part of next week so Bob Warren can get started on who's due diligent about expecting the bones and the HVAC and the roof and all the mechanical components to tell us what it is we've got in this building. Yes, sir.
And is there a component where, or a timeline for the due diligence that would tell us, and I know someone has a pretty good idea of what they want to put in that building in terms of the different services, et cetera. Is there a timeline due diligence process that's already in the works to figure out, is that going to work? Is there enough space for these folks?
Another good, yes.
Can other groups be put into that? I've learned, I guess, recently that there's Church Street, there's a kind of a difference of opinion in terms of what's going to be done with that.
And we'll talk about that in just a second.
Right. But that's just an example.
Yes.
And so I was trying to think through what's going to go in that building, and I know the chairman's had some ideas on this as well, just in terms of thinking through what the different space needs are and where that space is so that we can put the appropriate folks in the appropriate place.
So the
Is that concurrent?
Yes. So the priority of the BOA is to relieve all the departments, of which there are 4, maybe 5 in Goldstein. As I have spoken, as the chairman has spoken, as all of you realize in Uturo Goldstein, we are literally on a time bomb over there because of the tenuous nature of the HVAC mechanical systems, the elevator, and the roof. We're talking several millions of dollars. If we have to go in and repair the roof, replace the HVAC, replace the elevator, we're talking several million dollars, and we've got nowhere literally to put those 4 or 5 departments. That's about 35 employees. That's voter registration or the election commission. That's Codes Department, which is Tanya Bell, Planning and Engineering, which is Doug DeMossi and Mike Hughes, and Pretrial Services. So we have several departments, and if they've got to go in there and they've got to renovate that facility, whether it's the mechanical systems, the elevator, or the roof, it's going to displace those people. They're not going to be able to function, which is why there was this urgency to find a suitable alternative. So the first priority is Bart Klein is working up the program. He's programming what the departmental needs at Goldstein are and how that program translates to what their needs look like in BOA. So we're doing that right now. I don't know when that programming will be done, but when it is done, I fully expect Bart Klein to come to this committee and make that presentation as to what those programming needs look like. The reason being, if there's any space left available, I know that Michael Smith in finance would like an opportunity to say, hey, I'm growing too, and I would like some of that space. But the priority is the departments in Goldstein first. Let's find out what their needs are, over now and over the next 5 to 10 years and see what space we have left available. We just don't know yet. We will know that hopefully in the next 30 to 60 days, at which time there will be a report to this committee. Does that answer the question?
Yes, thank you.
Any more questions on the Bank of America building? Thank you. The First Responders Administration Building, that building is what we will refer to as 814 South Church. If you'll recall, that is about 10,000 square feet at a two-story building on South Church between First Horizon Bank and Farm Bureau. It's right there between the two, kind of cattywampus from the post office. We received that building from Rutherford County School System because they couldn't use it. That building, as you recall, was bought for $1 million, and because it wasn't being able to be used because it was in what's called a Corps of Engineer flood easement, not a flood plain, but you still can't use it. However, we have a serious need for additional administrative office space for the fire department, our fire department, and our EMA. So the proposal that I will make to the commission at the appropriate time, once Adam has done the necessary inspections, is to make that an admin office for the fire department and the EMA department. And of course, that's a discussion that can be had here. I know that Chris Clark with EMA is in need of a first responders training facility where they can do training for rapid response, and it's quite well suited for that. As a matter of fact, because we own that building outright, Chris is already going to be doing some of that, and Adam's making that available to him. So we're really excited about the opportunity for that building to relieve, again, some of our administrative pressure that we have for additional office space.
Where are they now?
Where's who now?
The administrative office?
For the fire department, for the Rutherford County Fire and Rescue, they're literally on top of each other and in closets over at Barfield, literally. And EMA is over at the old armory on West College. And that is a question that I want to pose. Thank you. That's a question this committee needs to help me resolve, and that is, if the EMA moves out of the armory, what is the county going to do with the armory? And so I don't have any ideas for that yet, but I would appreciate you guys thinking about that and us collaborating on what we're going to do with that, because I know it's a valuable piece of property, and I think we need to utilize it to its best benefit, whatever that is. So I would appreciate your input on that. Yes, Ms. Davidson.
So I think at one time I had heard that in the bottom part of the EMA building, they were repairing ambulances and things of that nature.
Yes.
Is that still there?
Yes, ma'am. Currently, we have the county garage in the lower floor, the back side of the EMA building. So the EMA department, emergency management, is in the second floor, the top floor, and then if you go around back, the garage has their repair area in the lower area. That's working out really well. They got lifts in there, they got their tools in there. It seems to be performing nicely. So I don't want to remove them from there.
That was going to be my question. Were they going to move with the EMA, or can we leave them? Maybe they need a little more expansion as well.
Yeah, and they may, and that's what we're going to find out. But we're just talking about that part of the building that EMA would be vacating. And I would encourage each of you to go by and take a look at it if you just need to get eyes on it. They'll be fine with that, I'm sure. The next is the Laverne Convenience Center. We're having, Chairman Johnson, we're having no luck there. I'm just going to be real candid. We got to find a place for a convenience center because Sand Hill is closing down, according to the mayor of Laverne. And we have literally spent the last 6 months running down every avenue of trying to find a 5-acre site to replace Sand Hill. That is a very serious concern. This county doesn't need the residents of Laverne going all the way to Weekly Lane to dispose of their convenience center trash. Ms. Davidson, I really need your help here. I need to find 5 acres, and I don't need to pay an arm and a leg for it. I would appreciate your, so anybody else that can provide assistance in that.
Commissioner Johnson?
But anyway, so we're getting to a place where we're running out of options, and and as you know, as this county grows, we're now at almost 400,000 folks. We have increased the number of convenience centers available to the county, and now we're looking at decreasing the number. And I just think that's going in the wrong direction. And just so you know, the investment for a new transfer station is only about $1.5 to $2 million. So it's not a lot of money. I know it doesn't seem like it, but we're talking about $1 billion budget. But it's something we should be able to do. There's just no land available in Laverne, and that's the challenge. So anything you can do to help us, we would appreciate. Finally, the juvenile court expansion. This is something Judge Lampley has talked about on several occasions. They are definitely out of space. They should have received additional courtroom space several years ago. I do want to make this a priority. This is what I call a low-level financial investment. We're looking at maybe $1.5 million, $2 million. So would that be right? What? $2.5 million. Again, this is something that the county can do. I think what we would like to hear from this committee and maybe public safety is the go-ahead to start looking at doing this, because every day, every month that we wait, it does become more expensive, and we don't want the federal courts to get involved in helping us make this decision. And that same calculus is the same calculus that we're going to talk about in a few minutes with the 2 to 3 year timeline for a new detention center, adult detention center, or jail. So we just absolutely do not want the federal courts to be involved in telling us what to do, how to do it, and when to do it. It becomes exponentially more expensive at that point. So we will probably be bringing a proposal of some sort to this committee in the next 2 to 3 months about doing architect and design for an expansion of that facility. Of course, then it's up to this committee to make that determination, but we hope that you'll at least entertain the thought about what the justification is.
I believe it was brought to public safety.
I'm sorry?
I believe it was brought to public safety on Monday, and public safety forwarded with a positive recommendation. That's all that they did, but they supported that project. If I'm not mistaken, Monday night. Is that right, Adam?
So, thank you, Chairman Phillips. Don't put down the mic yet. I want to make sure I understand. My understanding is they made a positive recommendation, but they didn't forward that vote anywhere. So it didn't go anywhere. There was a positive recommendation out of public safety, Chairman Phillips, and what I need is that positive recommendation to go somewhere so it enables the mayor's office to take the necessary action to move this downfield. Does that make sense?
It probably happened like that, but that's not my recollection. I thought we talked about purchasing, and I thought we also...
Perfect. Then we will take it up at the next purchasing meeting. We can do that. I know the chairman pretty well, and I'm sure he can put that on the agenda. Excellent. Thank you for that clarification. That'll get on the purchasing agenda. 2 to 3 years, the adult detention center. That has escalated from 4 to 6 years to 2 to 3 years, gentlemen. Last month, Sheriff Fitzhugh told me that he was at 1,065 inmates. That is over his capacity. Yeah, and so fortunately, the Tennessee Department of Corrections took 80 of the prisoners, and relieved that congestion. But what we're starting to see is this happen on a more frequent basis, and we're starting to see it happening on a larger scale. And so what I am going to recommend is that we escalate the detention center to a higher priority. And so to that extent, I believe, Chairman Phillips, we have brought before public safety that idea that the committee that is looking at reviewing this and planning this is going to put this on an expedited schedule. This is going to be, I'm not going to pull any punches, this is going to be very, very expensive to the county. There's no way around it. Jails aren't cheap, and quite honestly, taxpayers typically don't like paying for them, but there's nothing we can do. And I know I'm talking to Michael Smith about this and how we fund it and what the long-term plan looks like for funding it, with hopefully not without borrowing money or raising taxes. And that's the goal. I'm not sure if we're going to meet that goal, but that is the goal. But I just don't want the feds coming in and telling us that we got to do it a certain way, and then it adds to the expense of the project. I really would like to keep control of that project within these four walls. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, your 2 to 3 year reference here is to a design, build, and occupy. Is that, would you begin construction?
I'm sorry, I was not clear. So the timeline is we need to do the programming for what it is that we need. What is the need, and how do we quantify that need? In other words, how many cells, square footage, type of facility? That kind of work needs to be done now. The public safety is reviewing that. Once public safety does that, then we will hopefully commission an architect or an engineer to do the design. Once we do that, then hopefully we can send out RFPs or RFQs to build the facility. Ideally, in the next 12 months, I would like to finish programming the facility. In 12 months from now, I would like to have an architect on board to design the facility, which, according to Bart Klein, if he were chosen, it would take a year to design the facility. So we're talking 2 years before we could even bid it out. And according to best estimates, you're talking at least 2 years to construct it. So if everything went exactly according to plan without any hiccups, it would be at least 4 years and more probably 5 years before we could occupy that facility. And there's a lot that can happen at that old jail between now and 5 years. And so, just like Goldstein, we're trying to get ahead of any crisis so it doesn't become unnecessarily expensive to the county.
Any questions?
Rick's dying to ask, Commissioner Hall's dying to ask a question. I want to hear from Commissioner Hall on this.
Go ahead, Commissioner Hall.
Please.
At Public Safety the other night, they just got their behavioral health from the state as far as the condition of the jail and it moving forward. Are we not maybe getting at that point now to like a Davidson County or Knox County where we have more than one facility?
That's a great question. We have what we want to do, and Michael Smith and I have talked about this, Commissioner, and that's really a great question. What we want to do is we want to try to, when we build this facility, we want to build this facility with the idea of creating economies of efficiency. Right now, we have an adult detention center that is away from the correctional work center and away from the juvenile detention work center. The correctional work center and the juvenile detention center are on the same campus. And so there's a lot of scales of efficiency with regard to access to Dr. Rudd's offices, access to the cafeteria, access to additional law enforcement personnel in the case of an event that we currently aren't able to utilize because of the way the current facility, detention center, is on Salem, and then the juvenile and the correctional work center is on 231. It would be in the best interest of the county on an ongoing reoccurring expense basis if we could have all these three facilities in reasonable proximity to themselves so they could share like resources. Does that make sense? And so that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make this less expensive going forward as on a reoccurring basis instead of more expensive. So the answer to your question is, yeah, we're looking hard at that.
If I could just follow up with that. So part of, in that meeting, we were talking about state sentence people. So they're gone through state court, and there was 229 of those. The state pays us $41, and it costs us $93 a day.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a $52 deficit
That's
per
right.
day for that 229 people. It's right at $4 million a year.
That's right.
So if we do a 400-bed facility that would take up those state prisoner gaps at a lower cost, so if it doesn't cost us 93 and we get that number, if we trim $30 off of it, then we're $20, $30 of the good, and we can transfer those state guys. That's where I'm looking at. And then that opens up 300 beds to MO.
The way
they're going to continue to grow as we grow. But
I agree with the math, by the way. But what I will tell you is I know that Sheriff Fitzhugh, when he gets to what's considered an overpopulated detention center, and he calls the Tennessee Department of Corrections saying, I've got too many prisoners, I got too many people in my detention center, sometimes they take them and sometimes they don't. And it's not up to us whether they take them, it's up to them whether they take them. So we're kind of in a bad spot. If they don't take them, then we're out of compliance and we lose our certification, and then we run into a real problem with that reoccurring revenue stream from the state. So the state kind of holds the cards on this a little bit, and that concerns us.
Well, the state's the one that approves the jail, so it'd be hard for the state to come in and say you're violating because of the number of prisoners when they hold a quarter of our population.
It's not just the state, it's also the feds.
Yeah.
And so you're correct in that. I'm not arguing with you, believe me, but you're right. If it was just a state certification thing, but we also got the problems with the federal government. And I will say this, when we get in a position where our jail is not meeting standards for whatever reason, and we get in a litigious situation, it makes our situation from that litigious situation more difficult. And so we're trying to combat a couple of things. So you're on the Public Safety Committee, and I'm really glad that I really hope you bring these questions to bear on an ongoing basis. These are the kind of questions we absolutely need to flush out. We're going to spend the next 8 to 12 months doing this in public safety. I'm just hopeful at the end of the year we get to a place where we understand the nature of the problem and we can all agree on what that solution is, whatever that is. But this is absolutely a priority. Any other questions about the, yes, sir?
Is a ballpark 200, 250 million?
You know, I've heard 200, I've heard 300. Commissioner, I have no idea. I wouldn't even call those numbers that I've given you a ballpark.
That's fine. I'm just trying to, that gives me an idea, because so far we've already talked about a juvenile court project, that's 2.5. Laverne Convenience, that's another 1.5. B of A, we don't know how much any renovation is going to cost at this point. Let's see, we have first responder, the Church Street, assuming that's not sold or whatever, there's probably going to be some renovation there. So before too long, we're talking pretty serious dollars. And
that's correct.
And we've add to that some things that have buildings, et cetera, in the recent past.
That's correct.
And so are you going to be making this presentation to budget too? Because there's not just, those are just the capital numbers.
No.
I'm understand what you're saying about the operating side as well, the operating deficit, et cetera. I'm just trying to ask if you're going to do this to the budget committee every now and then, every month or every couple months or 3 months, because what's going to happen is it'll get through these other committees and the budget won't have a well enough understanding. I'll put it that way.
Well, let me put it to you this way. When it comes to budget, we'll be asking for appropriation. I'm not to that point. The point of this presentation is to tell you what we have identified as the need. I'm not asking for funding or approval on any of this tonight. That's not the point. The point, if I could finish.
I appreciate that. What I'm trying to say, though, is that there's, a likely need for a better understanding of those numbers when you get to the appropriations process.
And when I have numbers that are more accurate than 200 to 300 million, Commissioner, I'll be glad to come to budget. But I'm not coming to budget with a number that has got $100 million plus or minus assigned to it. That's irresponsible on my part. Moreover, I'm not asking this committee or any other committee to fund these projects. This is for information purposes only. I'm letting you know what we believe and we've identified are the priorities for capital improvements in this county. We're not to the place yet where we're coming to you and asking you to fund these. That's not what this is about tonight. This is about, here are the projects. I'm asking you to consider these projects. If the mayor's office doesn't have the priority right according to you, or there's a project missing, or whatever, I'm asking you to keep us engaged so we can do this together. I'm not asking for anything. This is for information purposes only.
And I can appreciate that. I'm just trying to keep budget.
Yeah, Commissioner Irvin, can I cut in? You're on budget.
Yes, that's
And,
correct.
and this presentation is not for budget numbers. So therefore, I'm not gonna put the mayor on the spot trying to sit up here and answer questions on budget numbers. He's presenting our plan. He's presenting our plan only. If you're on budget, if you want your budget chairman to get together with the mayor or whoever on figures, that's fine. But why would you want to put the mayor on the spot tonight on figures when he's not here to present figures to us? Why?
I'll be glad to explain.
Well, explain it.
Okay, because we don't have an infinite source of resources. And as we're thinking about each of these projects, there's several contexts. There's the context of what we have to do for prisoners. There's a context in the sheriff's office. There's a context for what we have to do for a variety of other people that we serve in the county. But there's also a context, but that's also a context.
Point on the speaker, please.
Pardon
You
me?
said, point on the speaker. You said that it's a concept.
Context.
Well, I want to get it right. Context. On the prison, on the jail, or whatever. All he's doing is presenting this. Because when it become a reality fact that we got to have figures or we got to do something with that jail, if we don't do it, who's going to do it, Jeff?
If I could just add one
Go
thing.
ahead.
There have been a couple of times when we've asked the mayor for a vision,
Right.
especially when it came to garbage. And several of us disagreed with the timing of the transfer station, other types of things, and explain a vision. That's all this is a vision for the future. It's not a plan, it's just a vision. This is what we see coming. Has nothing to do with how we're going to finance it, how we're going to build it, but this is the vision that the mayor is presenting to us, and that's what we've asked him for repeatedly. And he's given it to us. That doesn't mean that it won't change next year. The 2-year, the 5-year, the 10-year plan won't change next year. But it's right now a vision of what we see coming for the next few years anyway. So it's not a plan, it's just a vision. These are things that we see, that the mayor's office especially sees as what this county is going to be faced with over the next few years. It's not a plan. It's not written in concrete. It's not carved in concrete, and it's not written in blood. It is a vision that the mayor's office is trying to inform us that this is what he sees, and actually some of the rest of us see coming in the future.
So if I could respond to that and the context and your question both, I'll do the best I can. Working with the 24 different departments that I work with on a daily basis, they come to me with their infrastructure needs, right? And so, Commissioner Irvin, we have a very, very competitive environment financially with those needs for the available dollars. I'm not here to discuss the dollars that we have available versus the dollar requirements. All I'm trying to tell you is these are the needs that the department heads or the constitutional officers have approached me that they need. It's up to us collectively to determine and prioritize those needs. Once we prioritize those needs, this is the process, once we prioritize those needs, then we step back and go, what is the cost of that need? And then after we ascertain the cost of that need, then we prioritize it again. And then we keep prioritizing. Literally, to Chairman Phillips's point, this is nothing more than a snapshot. Today, I can promise you, when I come to you in 3 months, it's not going to look like this, guys. It ain't. Why? Because it's 3 months from now, and things will change. All I'm trying to do, Chairman Phillips, Commissioner Irvin, is provide you information as to what my office is receiving in the form of what does this county need. And all I'm asking you to do tonight is participate in evaluating these needs so that we can do this together. That's all this is, because I have heard loudly and clearly from Chairman Phillips and others, the mayor's office isn't communicating. Well, Commissioner Irvin, I'm communicating. I'm not arguing. I'm not to the point of telling you, I don't know what it's going to cost. I won't know until we put it out to bid. That's all I'm saying. So I'm not asking for approval of anything. I'm just saying, here's the plan, here's the vision. Get on board and help me craft this vision together. That's all I'm asking. Any other questions on the vision? That's all it is.
That's well said, and I understand Commissioner Irvin's concern and wanting to jump ahead because we've, in 20 years past, over the years, stuff has come up and we're forced to make quick decisions. So thank you for kind of pausing for a minute,
Yeah.
Chairman. Jeff, thank you for restating the groundwork, and thank you for relaying. Let's start over or continue with where you are. I think we've kind of cleared the air, and Commissioner Irvin's going to have ample time because we're doing this now instead of saying we got to have it. So thank you all.
That's the perfect response. Historically, I have, to my own chagrin, have kind of done things without being effective in communicating what the plan and the vision was. I'm literally trying to change that. And so there's no decision tonight. I'm just throwing it out there. Guys, this is what we have to deal with. Now, this is what we got to do. That's what we got to deal with. What's the priority, guys? What's the priority? So once we set the priority, then we're going to put a cost analysis to it. Then that may change the priority. It will for me. And so that's all we're doing. We're just getting this communication process started so that a year from now, you're not going to be able to say, well, Mayor, you didn't communicate with me. You're not going to say that.
Phil and Phil both, we get a 5-year plan, in essence, a vision from the school board, updated every year as to what they see coming. It's their vision.
Right.
It doesn't mean that we'll approve it. It doesn't mean that we'll finance it.
Exactly.
It's their vision, and I see this as the exact same thing.
That's all this is. But instead of this being my vision, Chairman Phillips, what I'm saying is this is quarterly. I want this to be our vision. So I'm trying to get you guys to provide me the feedback of what's important. Okay?
Continue on.
So 4 to 6 is city and county collaboration with Lebanon Pike for Multi-Hill Bridge. That is something as a result of a conversation that Chairman Dodd and I are having that we're working on with the city of Murfreesboro. That probably is going to have to go to, I would think, to Public Works at some point in time, and we need to have an in-depth discussion, Chairman Johnson. Does the county want to be involved in road projects with the city of Smyrna and Laverne? I mean, the city of Smyrna and Murfreesboro. We need to start there. So I would suggest respectfully that at an appropriate next meeting, not the next one or the next one, but sometime in the very near future, we have that general discussion. Does the county want to be involved in road building projects as an investment into this community? We need to start there. And if we do, then we need to get Greg Brooks involved and find out what that transactionally looks like. But we have talked, Chairman Dodd and I and the city of Murfreesboro have identified a project that is, I believe, is worth considering and maybe funding. Maybe funding, Commissioner Irvin. I'm not saying we will fund it, but it's worthy of discussion. Just like everything else not everything on here is going to get funded, Commissioner Irvin. I'm just going to tell you, we don't have enough money. Okay? The Almaville Public Health and Safety Building, that timeline is pretty good. That's something that we're going to need to do just because of the growth out on the west side of the county. What we're waiting for there is sewer from the city of Smyrna. They're coming down Almaville Road. Again, that is not a particularly very expensive project. At today's dollars, we're looking at $5 to $6 million. And I think that's something that we just need to put in the back of our minds that when the sewer becomes available, we just need to be ready to pull the trigger on that particular improvement. Laverne EMS station, that particular EMS station is identified as on the west side of I-24 over on Waldron Road. We've got to have, once we get Weekly Lane up, then we will move to putting an EMS station at Laverne off of Waldron Road. That's where Brian Gaither identified the next need for Rutherford County as far as making sure our response times stay under 7 minutes, which is absolutely critical. And I might add, I was at the Tennessee Mayor's Association here at the Embassy Suites this week, and the top of the conversation was EMS. and they were asking us what our response time was. And I said, well, ours is under 7 minutes. And they were going, you're kidding. How did you get under 7 minutes? And apparently, we're the unicorn guys. So there's a lot that we're doing that we have a lot to be proud of. I didn't realize that under 7 minutes was a big deal, but apparently, gentlemen, ladies, it's a really big deal. So that's something we can be proud of. So I think we need to continue to strive toward that sub 7 minute response time. I think that's a noteworthy goal, and this particular facility will help us achieve that, especially as the growth continues to move on the west side of the county. The Walter Hill Convenience Center, we at some point are going to be displaced where the current Walter Hill Convenience Center, we've already identified, as Mayor Ketchrin identified, down Landfill Road. It's just the timing of when the old center closes and when we bring that new one on. If you'll remember, Chairman Johnson, the money that we had allocated for the Walter Hill Convenience Center was reallocated toward Laverne, and we need to go ahead and we need to find a place, Chairman Johnson. Okay. And finally, ongoing roadway infrastructure improvements. And these will come up periodically. And again, communicate with Chairman Dodd, communicate with myself. If you've identified road infrastructure improvements that we want to talk about, considering as it relates to when we want to get into the road building business, please let any of us know. That'd be great. Next slide, please. Plainview Health and Public Safety Building. We're going to be opening that middle of October, 2 months, 2 weeks. There you go. Thank you, Adam.
Change already.
I'm sorry? Is that actually Plainview? It is?
Yeah.
And so, but my understanding is it'll open in 2 weeks, but they're not scheduled to move in till about mid-October. Is that right, Adam? Yes, so that's where I was confused. Okay. And so there'll be flag raising. Commissioner Hall, just so you know, all public safety members are required to attend. No, I'm just kidding. But Pettis really enjoys that because he gets to raise the Rutherford County flag. So it's a big deal to Chairman Reed. So I hope everybody can attend, and I'm sure an invitation will be forthcoming. Next slide. New projects. Recovery Court Phase 2, interior renovation, we've talked about that. The Forensic Center, we had our groundbreaking yesterday. It was a big success. We had 150, maybe 200 people there. It was a nice crowd. Smyrna was well attended, and the County Commission was well attended. Thank you for being there. It was a good day, and the weather was perfect. Smyrna EMS Station, we are coming. Bart Klein has been commissioned to begin the architectural and engineering drawings on that. When we get that, obviously, we will be coming to purchasing committee to determine how we want to proceed with a bid or an RFP on that. The county clerk and Canopy Drive Lane, I know that we commissioned Bart to begin the design of that. And so when we have that done, that'll also come. We still haven't provided funding for that yet. So that still has to be done through Budget Committee, but when we get it, the architectural plans, we'll make that decision at the appropriate time. The parking lot addition, that is part of the overall site design. That is being done in conjunction with the Forensic Center. First Responders Admin Building, we've talked about that. County Administration Office Building, we've talked about that. There is one other thing. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. We've already talked about it. Next slide, please. We're going to slip through some of this, and y'all already know about admin offices at the BOA. And I'm looking for if we can go to the last slide, roadway infrastructure improvements. So we are getting input from the city of Murfreesboro and Smyrna about where they would like for us to cooperate with them for the expansion of infrastructure. And I'll be honest with you, Chairman Johnson, in my opinion, we really need to have the broader conversation of, is that something we want to do as a county? The county historically has not done that, and I think it would be really wise for us to have that real broad conversation about, at a high level, is we know we have tremendous infrastructure roadway needs. We know that working collaboratively with Smyrna, i.e. the Forensic Center, and Murfreesboro works to the benefit of the entire community. But I really want us to do our due diligence before we embark on this. I have my own opinions about this, and I'll be glad to say that I think this is something we should strongly consider. But I think we all need to come to that same that conclusion ourselves without any input from me. But so if you can kind of help facilitate that conversation in Public Works, I think that would be advantageous to moving forward. I know the city of Murfreesboro is real excited about the opportunity about partnering with the county, and I've talked to Mary Esther Reed, and she is as well. So I think Chairman Dodd has a lot of institutional knowledge on this. He's been working on this for the last year, and so thank you for that. As a matter of fact, he's kind of flogged me a few times for not moving as quickly as he would like. But this is an important issue because as development grows, and we grow as a county, we have got to start getting in front of this growth a little bit. And road as an infrastructure is a critical part of that.
And also, I think that you may want to include the road commissioner in this discussion.
Absolutely. The final thing that's not on the slide is what are we going to do with the Goldstein building? And I think that is a broad conversation that this committee needs to have with the mayor's office over the next 2 or 3 meetings, Mr. Chairman. And I'm being very serious. I have my own ideas, and I've thought about this a lot for the last couple of 3 years, but I really want to hear from you, and I really want to have this dialogue. I want to my goal is to maintain the atmosphere and the integrity of the square. This is a place that people like to come to. If there's a place in Rutherford County that still appeals to that small town flavor that you and I grew up with here, it is the square. It truly is. It's kind of like an island in the midst of all this growth that's going on around the county. And I, for one, believe it's very important that we hold on to that. It reminds us of where we came from. And I think as we move forward as a community, remembering where you came from is incredibly important. It's critical. And so I have my ideas about what to do with the Goldstein building that reflect that, but I really would like to hear from you. I will say this, we have already received an inquiry about selling the Goldstein building to somebody. So it's an attractive piece of property. Somebody already has made an inquiry because they heard we were buying the BOA. Their question is, can I buy the Goldstein building? That was the question. And I haven't responded yet because I think I would like to hold on. I think I would like to keep it. I'd like to control what's going on around the square. But again, that's the conversation all of us need to have together. And so, Mr. Chairman, if I can just kind of deposit that with the commission, this committee, and then us have that conversation over the next few months, I would appreciate that. Okay? If there are there any questions? I said a lot. I tried to do it fast, and I was unsuccessful.
Oh, that's good. So within 3 more months, you'll give us another update, correct?
Yeah, it's the goal of the mayor's office to come every 3 months to this committee and give you an update on the capital projects list. However, if this committee wants to have a separate conversation about Goldstein or anything on the projects list that you want to involve the mayor's office, please relay that to the chairman, and the mayor and his staff will make sure that they're available for those conversations.
If I could just follow up.
Commissioner Phillips.
With that, there have been times in the more recent past where we've made decisions to sell property and sell buildings that we realized probably was not in the best interest of the county going forward. And taking our time to decide on what to do with certain things like the Goldstein building makes a lot of sense. No reason should we be in any hurry to make a decision.
None whatsoever.
So that conversation over a period of time makes a tremendous amount of sense. And just to add a little bit to the road infrastructure improvements, our legal department with the mayor's office and our planning department is working with our development community right now and putting together a plan to share costs on some road improvements around new development. So that's extremely exciting to me, and it should be exciting to us too. So there's some things that we're working on that we've never approached before, and we're working through those issues that relate to how do we do it and to make sure that we get it right. So as far as infrastructure going forward, it may be that we can do some of those things without taxpayers actually carrying the load, full load of the cost of that infrastructure. So there are some things that are going on right now with the participation of the private sector that's extremely exciting to me.
To that point, I know that Chairman Dodd has been very proactive in facilitating conversations between myself and the city of Murfreesboro, specifically Jim Carr. And it may be appropriate at some point in time, Mr. Chairman, that we ask Mr. Carr to come speak before this committee, talking about what that collaboration will look like, at least between Murfreesboro and Rutherford County, as we start to move forward about how we make, what does this decision look like about road building. So I offer that. I'm sure Jim would come, but it would provide additional information and what the collaboration would look like between the county and the city of Murfreesboro. So, I'm sorry? Good deal.
On the horizon.
Outstanding.
Good question. The Bank of America and the Forensics Center, is there a mechanism for providing more frequent updates than every quarter? Because we're going to be on a shorter time frame for Bank of America in terms of due diligence, et cetera.
So to answer your question, it was the intent of the mayor's office to provide this committee monthly updates with regard to Forensic Center and BOA. Monthly updates, not quarterly updates. The quarterly updates were only as it relates, Commissioner, to the capital improvements projects, this list that we went through. And so when it comes to a project that is currently under construction or like the BOA that's being negotiated, those with regard to BOA, I would like Bob Warren to be able to come and present to this committee what his findings are to date, if he's able to do that, to give you these updates, so you're not getting one update at the end of the 120 days, if that makes sense.
We get monthly updates on all of the public safety buildings, and this will be no different.
No different.
No different.
No different. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, committee.
Well, thank you for that presentation. Next on the agenda, Forensic Center Project, Mike Hughes.
Thank you, Chairman. As the mayor stated, we had the groundbreaking ceremony at the Forensic Center yesterday, and it was well attended. These are some of the recent photos of the construction work that's going on. Just to give you a little reference point, this is the G Street Convenience Center off on the same piece of property. This is a little bit of the stormwater management area, one of the stormwater management areas under construction here, and you can see a little bit of the Shot Rock building pad at the bottom of the picture. Here is more of the building pad. You can see the steel that was recently delivered, and the foundation for the building is set to be started tomorrow. So we're going to start pouring the foundation and setting the concrete and steel for the building tomorrow. More site work. The clerk's office is to the left, more of the convenience center to the right there, and you can see this, more of the earthwork taking place. This is some of the building pad being the shot rock being placed and worked in there. Just more of the same, not a whole lot going on more than just the building pad. That's the key part, and there's more of the finished product there, and with the clerk's office behind you. This is part of the old emissions testing center that was recently demolished, and this was taken away. Actually, the tent will be setting, you'll see in another picture. This is part of where the tent's going up from the groundbreaking ceremony yesterday. The emissions testing center was in this area right here, and much of it is in that open-top container. And this is a little more of it with the tent up and the building pad to the left here. And I noticed in a picture, I'll try to zoom in and show you, you can see Lisa Kay right here directing the troops, getting the groundbreaking ceremony ready. So, but all in all, the project is progressing well, and like I said, they'll be digging the foundation tomorrow. And that's all I had, Chairman.
Thank you. Any questions on it? Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda, Facilities Maintenance Report, Director Dodd.
Good evening, Commissioners. So I don't have a report on the Recovery Court Phase 2 tonight, but the mayor briefly touched on where we're at with it. So I'm still in the programming and pricing stages. So I will have an update for you as soon as I have some more information. Our Plainview location, last month, August the 19th, we held our last and final OAC meeting, August the 19th. Site work, including striping and signage, is now complete. The landscaping, the seed, the straw, irrigation are complete. Windows, doors, hardware are complete. The building is now secure. All mechanical, plumbing, electrical equipment, and the installation are also complete. We're awaiting our final inspections, which are due next week. The casework and appliances have been delivered, and installation is complete. Our FF&E delivery and installation is also complete. That was completed this week. I met with the project manager on site this week. We sped up the punch list, so we've already done our exterior and interior walkthroughs, created the punch list, and the general contractor already has that list. The building is now essentially substantially complete. The general contractor anticipates U&O within the next 2 weeks. He'll apply for that. There are no change orders. There are no open submittals. The contingency balance has remained at $352,873. And as stated last month, I do anticipate this number to increase as the GC finalizes his closeout documents related to the construction and any various buyout savings that he has. That's all I have on the Plainview Public Health and Safety building. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
Any questions?
So the mayor, he already spoke about the juvenile justice, the potential project with the court expansion, and then the remodel of the court, and then the expansion to the rear of the building. So I'm not going to really add on to anything more than what has already been spoken about.
Okay. You had a question that we were supposed to discuss PBA involvement with our projects. Are you ready to?
We can talk. Before though, Commissioner Irvin, I wanted to. I'll send this invitation applies to all of you. But if you ever have any questions, in addition to my monthly report on any project, ongoing potential project, please get with the chairman. You can call me directly. I'll be happy to answer any questions about any projects that we have that are, like I said, ongoing or potential projects, and I'll be happy to help or give you any updates that you might need at any time. But what does the commission regarding the PBA exactly what kind of questions or what are you asking about the PBA and related to our county projects?
There have been a number of questions, and it hadn't been that many, Adam. You've spoke to this committee before about the relationship between the county and the PBA, and some of the questions relate to we use them sometimes and we don't use them sometimes. So I think that's the main question is when do we use them and when do we not use them and who makes that decision? So try to share that with us if you could.
So to the best of my knowledge, like we have discussed before, historically, all of our county projects, the majority of our county projects, went through the PBA, construction projects. Like I've stated before, all projects do not necessarily constitute that avenue. Each project is unique. There are some projects that require a heightened level of oversight or expertise. There are some projects that we're more than capable of handling in-house out of the mayor's office. I don't know who makes that determination. I don't know who has made that determination in the past. But what I do know is that I have worked on several projects that have been PBA projects, and we've completed several projects in-house out of the mayor's office, both being successful. So as far as determining what projects are a PBA project or what projects are internal mayor's office projects, I think should be determined as individual projects, and then that decision is made.
I think some of the decisions are made depending on the uniqueness of the project or the size of the project. If we're adding on to the juvenile detention center, it may not require PBA's involvement because we're doing an add-on. So it may be that the size of that project does not require that oversight. If you're looking at a facility such as the forensic center that requires a special project manager because of the makeup and the way that facility needs to be constructed, then you don't need two project managers such as the specialist and the project manager that PBA would perform. So you're duplicating services, which may potentially add to the cost of the building. So those are some of the factors I think that we look at when we make a decision on to use the PBA or not to use the PBA. Let me just say that the PBA is foaming at the mouth. There is a new crew on board, and they're itching to have projects to work on, which is a really good situation to have. But there are certain situations that you really don't need the PBA as it relates to maybe an addition. You're talking about recovery court, the addition to the recovery court, and we can perform that project management without the oversight of a PBA. But then there are certain projects that, once again, a very specific specialist may need to render help in the architectural design and the building of that building. So it's a piece by piece. And if anyone asks, are we going to use the PBA, we should be able to give them an answer. We don't plan on it because of these reasons, but if you insist that the PBA used, then we'll use the PBA. So it's our call. It's the commission's call whether or not to use the PBA. Does that make sense?
It does. I can elaborate. You referenced the forensic center. Basically, it was KSA's recommendation early on to bring an MWL, a special consultant, in on that project. So to answer your question, it was their recommendation to the mayor's office to bring another consultant in that specializes in forensic science and those type of buildings. So in particular case, you have a project manager through your architect that represents the owner, and then you have a consultant working with that project manager, and then when you bring your general contractor on board, you have a superintendent, you have a project manager. So you've got all these heightened levels of oversight that already exist on this project that you're already paying for. So That's what I'm trying to describe to you, is each project is unique, it's different. So that's the best way to describe it, is that it should be on a case-by-case basis, depending on the magnitude of the project, the cost of the project, and the type of building you're building. That's the best way I can describe it.
Any questions on PBA? Satisfied with that answer? Everyone satisfied? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Other business, I think Commissioner Dodd got something you want to bring up?
Yes, sir, thank you. At Health and Ed, it came up that the commission is confirming what role the commission has on interaction with the CCRC, Community Care of Rutherford County, the nursing home. And so I was just chosen as chairman of Health and Ed to just alert this committee that Chairman Phillips is working with the legal counsel of Rutherford County and legal counsel of the CCR board to confirm where they belong and what reporting and what oversight or what relationship this commission may have with them. The topic began with, should the committee report to property management instead of Health and Ed? So that's the first alert. The second alert is, since then, Commissioner Phillips is investigating our policy and the board's policy of where that committee belongs. So just informational, we're looking at where CCRC belongs. Chairman Phillips has it well under hand, and I think in the next couple of months, we'll have some determination.
Okay, thank you. Also, if you look on your desks, I think each one of you got a copy of the 4 architects that we had discussed in purchasing. And I think it's going to come up next month, discussing these architects, and the information was passed out to you so you can read it and discuss it amongst each other or whatever, and write questions down or whatever, and hopefully we'll have them up here next month and we can go through their qualifications and see what architects we're going to use in the future or not. So we passed out the information tonight for you to do your homework on it. Any questions on? If not, any other business? If not, tours. I wanted to do a tour. I wanted to do a tour of this Church Street building, but I was told by our director he don't even want to go in the building. So do anybody have any suggestion on tour for next month?
Maybe the EMA building.
EMA?
We'll have to make a decision on that at some point.
That sounds good. That sounds good. EMA, the Armory building. We'll tour that. We'll meet there at 3:30.
Kind of a suggestion, there's been some print and press about pause over the last few weeks, and public safety is considering the possibility of touring that building itself. So it may be good, maybe a potential piggyback for us to get with public safety and both of us tour that building. Or it's possible that we could do it separate, but anyway, it looks like public safety is looking at the possibility of that committee touring the Paws building and just to see what's going on out there, and it might be something that we'd want to do as well.
It may be that we can set up the tour of the Paul's building before our meeting. I can get together with the chairman of public safety and see can we set up that schedule, because I like to continue on the schedule of meeting and touring before our meeting. because it's just so convenient for our committee to do that. So what I would do, I will get together with Public Safety Chairman and see can we set up a tour for Paul's building. Any other questions? Not entertain a motion to adjourn.